Welcome to the Passionate Pioneer podcast. Hi, I'm Beth, and I'm passionate about supporting women who are quietly quitting their 9-to-5 because they're feeling disillusioned and disappointed with their career, and helping them discover and follow their passion on the other side of their daily grind. Having been in corporate management for 25 years and going through my own disappointing and unfulfilling experiences, I now support women just like you by showing you how to tap into your intuition and discover your real passion and purpose so that you can live your life on your terms with freedom and joy. Shedding light on why you're feeling dispassionate about your career and why you are quietly quitting. This podcast aims to be a safe space for you to open up and be completely candid. Having your voice heard, finding your tribe of like minds, and being able to get support is so important when you don't know where to turn or who to talk to. I want to afford you the same opportunities that I offer my clients in my passion programs, where you can feel empowered, have the confidence to be your authentic self, and discuss some of your unpleasant professional experiences, alongside receiving genuine empathy, appreciation, and heart-led guidance. This podcast is where passion meets purpose, enabling you to strengthen your resilience and build the life you deserve. Each week, I'll be talking with women just like you, and also women who are further along on their passion journey, to get both sides of these unique stories, offer advice, support, and share experiences. If you have any questions for me or would like to be a guest speaker on this podcast, please feel free to leave me a message right here on my Anchor Spotify hosting page. You may not know where the next step lies, but you are never alone on your journey of becoming the next passionate pioneer. Today, I am joined by Hannah Walker. Hannah originally worked in the corporate world as a sales consultant for multinational companies, generating 9-figure sales, but burning out in the process. She realized that not only was this not sustainable for her life, but that if she could make this amount of sales for her employer, why couldn't she do it for herself? She promptly quit, packed up her desk and her trusty coffee mug, and set out to start her own business. She now works with clients from many different industries, helping them to ignite their passion with selling so that they can build wealth now and in the future. Welcome, Hannah.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. Nice that you wanted to join.
Well, obviously, why would I not want to join? I get to spend time talking to you.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. I've had such an overwhelming support from women who wanted to be part of the podcast, and women who are also listening and finding it inspiring.
That's fun. Like, honestly, it's fantastic. A couple of people had said to me that they'd heard your podcast, had been listening and stuff. So as soon as I got the message, I was like, yeah, obviously. It's like, yeah. Let me at him.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So let's start. So tell us a little bit about your backstory. So you obviously worked in corporate and left. So tell us a little bit about that story in corporate.
Oh, where to begin? Yeah, so I actually started my life as a mechanical engineer. So I did engineering at university. And then when I left, I went into work for Siemens, so one of the biggest engineering corporates in the world, and very quickly realised that I'm not an engineer. I'm not cut out to be an engineer day in, day out. I'm much more interested in the commercial side of businesses and, the sales and the marketing and that sort of thing. And moved around different departments. I was their communications manager for nearly 2 years, covering maternity leave. So very quickly got thrust into board meetings with the senior management team because they were like, it's fine, you can come. Like you've got no board experience, but how hard can it be? I was like, cheers, guys, like much appreciated. But very quickly realized that I was only one of two women on the senior management team because it's an engineering company. So there's not that many of us kicking around, to be fair. It's kind of spot the woman on a daily basis. Then I moved into research and development. So I was the head of R&D for the UK for 5 years, looking after the marketing side of things, essentially like identifying where in the market we could create new products and, you know, what was like the more fun side of things rather than the physical, actual engineering, boring calculations. Like all of my calculations had money involved in them. So I was like, this is way more fun.
Right.
And then moved into sales and just absolutely adored it because it basically made me realize that like selling is just problem solving. It's literally just understanding what someone's problem is and creating a solution for them, and then obviously they buy it, and that's kind of that part. But a big part of why I loved it was the fact that I could really get stuck in with these people, build relationships with them, and then give them what they wanted rather than, you know, just here's a generic solution, who cares, it doesn't matter. I then followed one of my previous managers, funnily 6 months and 1 day after he left, because, you know, there's that lovely little no poaching clause in people's contracts.
Oh, right.
So I was not allowed a phone call for 6 months, but 6 months and 1 day later, my phone rang. And I then followed him to a smaller company where I was a sales like consultant, essentially an international sales manager for them, responsible for literally half the world. So I was selling contracts to oil and gas companies, manufacturing clients, power stations in New Zealand, Australia, Dubai, all of these lovely places that sound really great to your friends on Facebook. But I saw a lot of airports and not much of actual countries.
Right. So you were headhunted, which is nice, isn't it?
Essentially, yes.
Great to be headhunted, but unfortunately, sort of out of the fire.
God.
The frying pan into the fire, right?
Straight into the fire. Much smaller business. Went from having, you know, a huge team of support to me being everything from marketing, sales, legal, even to the point of doing some of the account side of stuff. For like writing the contract and things. And when you are part of a much smaller team in that environment, but you're still bringing, you know, you're still dealing with multi-million-pound contracts, it's a lot. It really takes it out of you. And I didn't just have international clients, I had clients in the UK as well. So my working day was 18 hours sometimes because I was covering so many different time zones.
Therefore, you burnt out.
At the time, I thought this was the best thing ever. I was like, this is brilliant. I get paid to travel the world. Like, this is great. But my now husband then proposed, and we were kind of like, you know, planning a wedding at the same time and, you know, starting to think about potentially having a family in the future. And 2 weeks before my wedding, I had a client who was like, I need you to fly to New Zealand to come and do a site visit and talk to people. And I was like, I can't fly halfway across the world just to, like, literally 2 weeks before my wedding. I've got caterers to see and I've got a venue to, like, and I've got shitloads of stuff to do. Like, I don't have time for this. So I ended up on Zoom calls at like 2 o'clock in the morning with this client, and then being back in the office at 8 a.m. the next morning to like look after my UK clients. And got married, had 2 weeks back in the office between my wedding and my honeymoon, went away with my husband, and my husband said to me, the one condition that he gave me for our honeymoon was you're not allowed to bring your work phone.
Right. No work, no phone.
No work.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was the first time in 10 years when I had been on holiday and I had not been permanently attached to my work phone. And even then, the only reason that I managed it was because he physically took it off me and locked it in the safe in our hotel room and changed the passcode so that I couldn't get at it. Because
Good
I was
for him.
stressed. I was like, well, I need to, because that environment was so toxic that if you weren't the person to respond to your client, there were 5 other people chomping at the bit to get hold of it. And it did not matter if you'd spent, 9 months building a relationship with a client and had got right to the end. If they were the person that received the email with the order confirmation, they were the ones that got it against their name, and they were the ones that got the commission for it.
I understand that totally, Hannah. I worked in sales.
Yeah,
and it was in sales on the shop floor, and it was just dog eat dog.
It's brutal. You've got these grown men, because again, I worked in heavy industry, so it was very male dominated. But you've got these grown men who would literally stab their mum to get a deal. They would they have no
sell their granny for a $5, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah, if it'll get them over their bonus target, cracking. She's off. And
so was that the clinching point, do you think? Was that the clincher when you went on your honeymoon and your husband locked away the phone and then 100%. You said, I need and seriously need to rethink all of this?
Yeah, I know exactly the moment it hit me like a ton of bricks. We were sat in Bangkok airport, ready to fly home, and I get pre-flight jitters at the best of times. Even though I flew internationally for my job, I hate flying. It's not something that I enjoy. And I was sat there and I was just so full of anxiety, and I couldn't work out why. I was like, things hadn't been great in the office. There'd been a lot of internal politics and stuff that had gone on, and it was just, and I remember turning to my husband and I just said to him, I went, I can't do it. So I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I had a full-blown panic attack in the lounge in Bangkok airport. And I was just like, I can't. The idea of going back and doing it, and weddings are one of those times when you get married and you've literally just walked down the aisle with your husband and people are like, oh, it'll be kids next. You're like, there's a chance, but it had been playing on my mind so much, thinking if I stay in this role, if I stay doing what I'm doing, what kind of a mum am I going to be? What kind of a wife am I going to be? I'd already had to leave my husband 48 hours after emergency surgery to fly across the world for a client.
Right.
And I just sat there thinking, is this
my life? Is this my life? Is this what it is? This, and it's totally right. It's sometimes it's what I call a spiritual turning point. It's just 100%. When you've just drawn a line in the sand, you've had enough, something's got to give, that your life is worth more than this.
Totally. And he looked me dead in the eyes and he said, you're handing your notice in. He went, you're not. And I went, but I haven't got a plan. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is just I can't quit my, I'm not going to lie, bloody good salary job.
Nice.
I can't give that up. What are we going to do? And he was like, you'll make it work. You always do.
Yeah.
You always have. There's never, ever been a question. And I went back to work. I had a conversation with my manager that was completely off the record. It was in a pub literally after work, where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to hand my notice in. But because I know the environment, I'm going to spend the next 2 weeks before I hand my notice in, handing all of my clients over to you so that I know they're in the best, because me being me, all I could think of in that moment was, but I'm going to be leaving all of these clients. I'm going to be leaving all these people that I've that have trusted me to get them the best solution, and I'm basically going to hand them over to the hyenas.
Well, that's because you work in
Okay.
integrity and, with authenticity, and you do your due diligence. You want to make sure that your clients that you've worked with for a long time are in safe hands before you leave. I mean,
Yeah, and
that makes sense.
I fought so hard internally to stop a lot of changes that they were trying to make to the thing that we were selling, and so that these specific clients were getting what they needed and what they wanted. And I was so worried that I'd hand it over to like one of the yes men and they'd just be like, oh, well, it's irrelevant what they want. They're going to get what we're going to give them regardless.
Right.
So I spent 2 weeks moving everything over to him and slowly taking all of my stuff home. So any of the eagle-eyed people in the office clearly knew something was about to happen, because my desk went from being absolutely covered in random crap that I'd found from over the years to empty, like just completely empty. And then I handed my notice in, and in true sales fashion, I was put on gardening leave, because obviously if a salesperson hands in, like, you can do a lot of damage in a business as a salesperson who doesn't want to be there and who's leaving.
Right.
And I just left. I had no plan. I had nothing, no job to go to.
It didn't seem logical, right? It didn't seem logical.
Completely illogical. Like, no part of me thought that this was a good idea. I was just like, all I knew was that for my own mental health, I had to get out. I couldn't be there any longer. I needed to leave that space, because I didn't want to look back and see my kids turning 18 and think I've just missed the last 18 years of your life.
Well, it's also you set an example, right, Hannah? You set an example to the next generation of, it's okay to do this. It's okay to work yourself stupid and burn yourself out and have, sort of mental health issues because of it. That's okay, and it's not okay, is it? Because that's what we as women do, right? We just work ourselves to death.
Come home, we work ourselves to death. We do a 14-hour day in the office, and then we come home and we do all the housework and we do it. And I am extremely lucky. My husband is incredibly supportive, and he gave me that privilege to be able to just say enough's enough. Like, that's it. He was like, I will take over all the bills. I will make sure that everything's okay, because he still worked in corporate for a different company. So I did. So I just went. I had a hobby at the time, and I was like,
going to say, and then what? Yeah, then what happened, right? Then what did you do?
So
obviously an action taker.
Yeah, so I've been doing dance photography as a hobby for about 5 years, and thought to myself, well, do you know what? We'll give that a bash. Like, this will be fine. Like, I had a great friend who was incredibly successful in that niche. And he was like, there's a market for you. Like, you need to do this, and you can only do this if you're full time. Like, it's not the sort of thing that you're going to be able to do alongside the job that you're doing. So I was like, right, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. This is great. This is going to be fantastic. And for about 9 months, it was fun. It wasn't hugely lucrative, but it was fun. And I got to do some fun things. And then COVID hit.
Right.
And my photography business closed overnight. Literally, I just went to zero. There was absolutely nothing. I didn't get any support from the government because of being self-employed for such a short period of time.
Right.
I was lucky that I had a studio, so I managed to get some support to just cover my bills for the studio. But I then basically went to working, sitting on the sofa watching Netflix while my husband was upstairs working from home. And I was like, oh, this is great fun. Like, I can just it's okay. It'll only be a couple of weeks and then we'll all be back to normal. Yeah, no, that didn't happen, did it?
Yes.
That
The
pretty much,
world's changed, right?
yeah, funnily enough, the world changed. And I then started, meeting people online, kind of joining little networking groups just to pass the time because there's only so many times you can watch Tiger King and try and make random concoctions of food from stuff in your kitchen. Um, and I started kind of just giving a little bit of advice in these calls and things, just stuff that, as far as I was concerned, was just general knowledge. Like everyone knew this stuff. I was just being helpful and I was kind of, giving my opinion for these people.
You know what, Hannah? I think that's let me just touch on that because I think as women we're able to do so much. We're multitaskers,
Totally.
aren't we? And we don't really know actually what we are really capable of.
Nope.
We just think, oh, everybody knows how to do this. Well, actually, they don't. Not everybody knows this. So you've got a multitude of gifts and talents, God-given talents that you came here to do. And this is why we then start to dig into what really excites us and what motivates us, what we really want to do, which is our passion. And passions we can have, it takes a while to sort of adjust into that because we're mostly told what we should do, and we think this is what we should do. We should be doing this. Well, get that out of your head because it's not what you should be doing. It's about following something that may seem quite illogical.
Oh, totally. And right? I think also because of the way that I'd had to leave my corporate job, there was that part of me who was like, well, I don't want to do I really want to step back into sales? Do I really want to be doing any of that? Because it was so damaging to me. It was so damaging to my mental health that there was a big part of me that was like, oh, well, this is okay. Because if I'm just kind of giving random free advice to people and there's nothing there, well, that can't be damaging. Like I'm just getting the nice people pleasing side without any of the stress and any of the kind of that side of things. And at the time we were, it was the whole, oh, you can now go outside, but you've got to be, I don't know, 50 meters away from somebody else and you can't breathe in their general direction and all of those things. I was like, but it's fine. The world's opening back up. I can go back to photography. And I remember doing a photo shoot with a friend within all the restrictions and everything, and I just realized that I'd kind of fallen out of love with it and was like, oh shit, my passion had become my job,
right? And
I was like, oh shit, what am I gonna do now? Like this is ridiculous. Like, oh crap. Like, so I started thinking about, well, am I going to go back into corporate? And then obviously so many businesses were like laying people off, making people redundant.
It's the easy choice, isn't it? It's the easy choice. I'll just go back.
Yeah, just to go back to go and work for someone else, oh, it'll be fine. Like I've got proven track record. I've got references. I can easily step back into something. I mean, even to the point where my husband was saying to me, well, why don't you just go back to Siemens?
Right.
Like they have you back in a heartbeat. Like there's no issues. But there was just something there that was like, that just kept going, no. Like, no, like I could never get past the first hurdle of like looking for jobs. It's as if my brain had gone, but I like working for myself. Like, I don't like working
but listen to your body, right? Listen to your body, because your body's reactions will just say, do you want to go back to work for
oh God, no.
Right?
I think that was a no. Okay.
That was a no. Yeah.
And I think I also realised that after nearly a year and a half out of corporate, I'm probably unemployable now. Like my opinions were coming out. I was like, the filter had dropped. I was like, oh, I don't think anyone's ready for that. Like they've got to have serious balls if they're going to be employing me now. Like,
it's quite liberating, isn't it, to have your own voice and be able to speak your opinion and your have authenticity, right?
Yeah, and it was
in your own business.
It was like really weird because there was this one part of me that was almost the cocky 21-year-old that had walked into corporate and been like, I'm in a senior management meeting, like I'm the best thing ever. But then on the other side, there was this like really hurt, kind of like unhealed person who was like, as much as I thought that's what I would be, I was like, but how long will it take for me to go back to being in that position again and
Right.
feeling that badly about myself? And, you know, and then I was extremely lucky, and I will forever love my friend for doing this. One of the friends that I've met through a networking kind of group, there was a couple of us who'd become really friendly, and it was just like, fun chat, like friendly, like group chat. And she sent us a message and said, I've signed us up for a 5-day challenge next
Right.
week.
Nice.
I was like, what the hell's a 5-day challenge? Like, this is weird. Just like, apparently, we're going to get set a task every day to do, and then they'll give us some support. And I was like, okay, well, this is on like social media and stuff. Like, it'll be all right. Like, occupy a week, if nothing else. Like, we just moved house as well. So I was living in the middle of nowhere with no friends, and was like, okay, well, it's something to do online. And it's the best decision I've ever made in my life, because I met my mentor.
And that's how I know
And that's
you
how we know
is
each other.
that's right, correct, because we both got the same mentor, although you've met her a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
And literally my entire life changed in the span of 2 weeks of knowing her. And we were sat on a call. I'd signed up for Des's membership. I was like, right, I'm gonna give this a year. Let's see what happens. And as part of the annual bonuses, we sat on this call, and she literally dove into each of our businesses and was like, let's listen to your experience, find where you are. And obviously at the time I was like, I don't have a business. Like,
Right.
not quite sure what I'm doing here. Like, definitely.
But I tell you, but doesn't
everybody?
everybody starts like that though?
Oh,
Everybody's
totally.
lost it. If you think back to your first day at work, first day of doing anything, first day of school, anything, it's always nobody knows what the hell they're doing. We look at some people and think they've got it all together, and they don't. Everybody's just going through, just we just want to improve every day. We just want to be better and just improve ourselves, right? And
exactly.
We're all a work in bloody progress, right?
Oh, totally. I think everyone thinks that even these people that, all these gurus, and I use that tone perfectly,
yeah,
have like, they've got it all their life together. Everything's
and it's
making it just like everyone. Like, they might
really
have a bit more of a strategy, but they're still just making it up as they go along.
Correct.
But
so
we
so
were on this call, and Des was like, so what did you used to do? Like, tell me, like, go through. So I went through the whole corporate cycle, broke down in tears, because it was like a really big thing. It was like a release.
What's emotional baggage you're carrying?
Yeah, hugely. And said, I work for companies, have sold, billions of dollars worth of contracts over my years, like, and now I don't really know what to do. And she was like, well, why don't you do that, Hannah? And I was like, what do you mean, why don't I do that? Like, people don't pay you for that. Like, and I think my instinct reaction was, but I don't want to go back into corporate.
Right.
And she said, no, I don't mean that. I mean, why don't you become a sales coach? Why don't you become a sales mentor? And I was like, oh, I never thought of that. Like, the glaringly obvious solution hadn't even occurred to me. It was completely alien, because as far as I was concerned, because it was an innate thing that I did and that I'd improved, I don't have any formal sales training, like, I didn't study this at university. I'm just a nerdy engineer who's got a bit of a gob on her. Like, I was like, do people really, like, are they gonna, is this right? But I went, but you know what? I have nothing to lose at that moment. I was like, if I don't do something, I'm going to be in exactly the same position in a year's time that I am now, still floundering, still wanting to apply for jobs, but not wanting to apply for jobs. And so I went for it. And I was like, I'm going to follow your framework. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to do exactly what you tell me to do, because I don't know any better. And that's what I'm paying you for at the end of the day, is to help me. And over the last 2.5 years, it has been the craziest ride that I have ever had, but the best experience. Like, I now work with hundreds of business owners every year in every single niche that you could think of, from heavy industry all the way through to spiritual entrepreneurs, product-based businesses, like everything.
Right.
I've got one-to-one clients, I've got a membership, I'm running group programs. I did my first in-person retreat this year, which was just wild because my brain,
Nice.
this seems like a good idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm creating here, Hannah. That's why I moved here, is I want to create a healing retreat
I
here
love
on
that.
my mountain in Italy, which is going to be beautiful. But yeah,
Sign me up.
how
God.
so?
Like, coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just I
Put
think
me
it's
on the wait list.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
You
could go
have
on
me
the
in
wait list.
Italy. I'm on. Like, let's go.
So the thing is, I mean, you found this coach, 2.5 years ago. I've had a number of coaches, and now we've got the same mentor. And how important, I mean, because everybody needs support, even business owners as we are, you always need to kick up the butt. You always need, some redirection sometimes, support, and you need a network of people that are like-minded. That's for damn sure. So how important is it, do you think, to have a mentor or a coach as you start, as you've come out of your corporate career and you're taking back control of your life and tuning into what your heart and soul really want you to do? How important is it, do you think, to have
For
someone?
me, I 100% categorically would not be where I am right now if it wasn't for my mentor.
Right.
100%. Like, it's why I am Des's ambassador all the time. It's why I will shout from the rooftops about how amazing she is, because I am inherently lazy because I'm an engineer.
Right.
I've joked and said I'm a fantastic manager, but I'm a shit employee. Because, like, I'm really good at telling people what to do, but I'm not very good at doing it myself.
Yeah, I was the same. I was the same in corporate. I tended to be a manager. I was a manager most of the time, a leader, and I wasn't very good at being an employee. I was
great at telling other people what to do. Like, this is fantastic.
It's accountability, isn't it? That's what you're talking about. It's accountability. Yeah. We all need it.
From working, and I've worked with her from literally being in her membership all the way through to one-to-one, and it's been like, not only is it knowing that she's there and that I can ask for things, but like, also, obviously I would never advocate for anybody to spend money that they can't afford or to invest in things that they don't have, because that is, that's not why we're here. And anyone that tells you to do that should get in the bin, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. That's totally out of integrity, right? And
yeah, exactly. But for me, investing hard cash was I have to do something, because otherwise I might as well put that money in a pot and burn it, because there's no, like, I'm not doing anything. So
it's very difficult. So it's very difficult, isn't it, for us as women to invest money in ourselves. And we'll buy our kids and family presents, holidays, new dresses, bags, jackets, but actually investing in a program that helps you to do the inner work, the inner healing, or to find your passion, or to help you set up your business, whatever it is. We find it very difficult to do that, don't we?
Oh, totally. And I think it's because a lot of us have an innate fear of success. It's not, I think so many people talk about a fear of failure, and my unpopular opinion is that most people don't have a fear of failure. No. I genuinely believe most people don't have a fear of failure, because failure is safe. Failure is easy, because there's an easy answer to what happens if you fail in your business. You go and get a job. Yeah. And you get whatever bloody job you need to pay your bills and to do the things that you do. But success is terrifying.
Yes, it is. Everybody is afraid of their greatness.
Yes, exactly. Because especially as women, because I think we are, like, I come from that industry where I was the weirdo. I was the token girl a lot. I was very much, I stand out like a sore thumb at the best of times, but then you put me in a dress and heels and shove me in an engineering conference. It's like they absolutely poop themselves because they're like, oh my God, where did she come from? Like, and I'm like, hi guys. But you are like, there's so much that we're kind of like pushed down. There's things where it's sort of like, oh, if a guy is loud, he's a leader. If a woman is loud, you're bossy.
Yeah.
If a man says his opinion, then you're assertive. Whereas if it's a woman, you're aggressive.
Yeah.
Or you're on your
a bitch.
Or something.
Yeah.
Or you're a bitch.
Yeah.
I've been called a bitch so many times throughout my career. And I'm like, I'm not a bitch. You just don't like what I'm saying. There's a very distinct difference. Because I've always prided myself on the fact that I might be direct and I might tell, when I was in that space especially, I might be very direct, but I'm never doing it out of malice. I'm not doing it because I don't like you or anything. Like, even the people I hated, I would still, it's a corporate smile, everything's fine, But I was always typecast as that person because I had an opinion and I was female.
Right. And and as I said, as we talked about, it's very liberating now, isn't it? Because now you can, you've got the freedom. Yeah. You've got the freedom to talk and to speak the truth.
Yeah, there was a sound that went round. I think it's still going round on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff. And it's a woman saying, I'm not intimidating, you're intimidated. Right. There is a very distinct difference.
Right.
And I was like, that is so perfect. And throughout working with Des and through there's been a big confidence shift, because when I first started, I was still kind of like, well, I'm just doing it because I'm being told to, I still don't 100% agree that this is what I should be doing, but I'm going to trust you. Whereas now it's like, no, I am bloody good at what I do. I've made a lot of people, including her, a lot of money over the last 2.5 years.
Right.
Because I will never be the person that's like, oh, this is how much money I've made this year, and look how big my launch was. Because to be frank, it's bloody irrelevant, how much money I make.
Yeah.
My entire job is to make other people money.
Right.
The whole point of having a sales coach or a sales mentor is because I am here to make you money, not you make me money. Right. I am here to make you money fundamentally.
Right.
And
but you've obviously got a lot of passion for that, haven't you? You've realized that you're passionate about that, right?
The change in me, especially this year, I don't know what the hell happened at the beginning of January. There must have been some sort of, I don't know, portal or something opened, and little old confident cocky me came striding out of it like, I got this, bitch, this is gonna be great. I'm just like, and even my husband has said to me, he's like, yeah, she's back. Good. He was like, the woman that I fell in love with is back. She's back kicking ass. She's doing things on her own terms. If I don't want to have a call at 9 o'clock in the morning, I don't have a call at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
It's my business.
Isn't that lovely to have the freedom of choice to make your schedule? I'm not very good in the mornings either, Hannah, and my schedule starts at lunchtime, really.
Yeah, I mean, my calendar is open from 10 o'clock, but only to one-to-one clients.
Right. Yeah, you've set your boundaries, right?
There's a commitment level. If you want morning, Hannah, you pay. Because I'm not getting up otherwise, so that's not how this works. And funnily, it's really weird that we're talking about this, because this week I have been chatting with my old managing director. We've just been texting because we're still friends. We still talk to each other. And he's just got a new job. So I sent him a message congratulating him on his new role and was like, how are you finding it and stuff. And he was like, yeah, it's great. I get to work from home. How do you feel? What's it like being your own boss? And I was like, best thing I ever did, mate. And he was just like, oh, sorry, I've got to run for a call. I was like, okay.
Right.
It's not
intimidated.
Yeah, intimidated or intimidated.
Intimidated or intimidating, right? Which one?
But
Um,
yeah, like it's
Hannah, yes, Hannah, can
yeah,
I
sorry.
just ask you one final question?
Otherwise we'll be
Because
talking
otherwise we can,
literally all
yeah,
day.
yeah, we could talk all day, I know. So I just wanted to get your opinion, and your advice. Let's look at advice. What advice do you have for women listening to this podcast? What advice do you have for women looking to get out of their 9 to 5, to follow their passion?
So I'm probably going to be the more logical engineer on this answer
Great.
because this is what I genuinely believe. So there are so many people who will turn around and go, just go for it, just like jack in your job and just follow your heart. It's a really lovely sentiment, but not many of us have the privilege that I had to be able to do that. Because if I hadn't have had my husband, if I hadn't have had that security, I would have instantly been in full scarcity. Oh, like I'll do absolutely anything in order to try and pay my bills and do these things. And having a job alongside building your business can get a really bad rep, especially in the online space. I think, especially as women, we see it like sometimes we've been conditioned to believe that that's a failure, that it's not like, well, if I'm an entrepreneur, then that's what I should be doing. Surely I should be doing that all of the time.
Right.
But actually, there is huge strength in looking after yourself and making that decision at the right time.
Yeah.
And only you know that. But you have to go for it alongside that thing.
Yeah, you do.
If this is what you want to do, you have to build it alongside and understand that, do you know what? It is going to be hard and you are going to have to put in the graft to start with. Like,
Yes.
I didn't click my fingers and suddenly have a really successful business. It doesn't happen like that.
That's what people think. Right?
I'm like, oh, honestly, there's so many bloody adverts out there from gurus being like, oh, buy my program and I'll click my
make a
fingers
million, make a million in 3 days. I'm like,
yeah.
are you kidding
One
me?
of my competitors actually has a program. I call him a competitor. I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire, but there we go. He's a really big name, so he obviously doesn't care about little old me. He had something that was like make $5 million in 30 days.
Oh, come on.
And I was like,
not
are
realistic.
You actually taking the piss?
Right.
Like, that is the biggest crock of horseshit I've ever heard in my life.
But this is the thing, this is what the younger generation are just soaking up, aren't they? They just want everything now. Everything now. Instantly. And it just doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Business is hard. It's not easy. There are times when you just think, is this really bloody worth it? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, it's hard graft. I'm tired. I've had to be like, I did this. There's the meme of like, I left my 9 to 5 and now I work 24/7. I don't advocate for that because like that's quicker way to burn out than corporate sales.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
And that's a pretty fast track version.
Yeah.
But you have to be realistic, and I 100% encourage every single person that I come in contact with that the sky isn't even the limit.
Correct.
Like, you can make as much money, you can do whatever the hell you want if you put those foundations.
The groundwork first. The groundwork is really important, right? When you're starting something new.
And it doesn't
build the foundation.
Exactly. It doesn't mean that you have to work 60-hour weeks alongside a 40-hour corporate job or whatever. But even if you are doing 2 or 3 hours a week to push yourself forward, to start to build a brand, to start to build a business, get those foundations in place, that will come much quicker than if you just go, well, it'll be fine. I'll just leave my, it's like, this isn't Field of Dreams. It's not build it and they will come. You have to actually do the ground.
I like that analogy. I like that. Build it and they will come. No, I don't think so.
I mean, you can build it and
You
they
can
might
build it,
come.
they might not
But,
come if you don't build the business and put yourself out there. Yeah, great. All right, okay, lovely. Yeah, I think we'll finish there. That's a great place to finish. Thank you so much, Hannah, for joining today.
Thank you.
And yeah, take care. Thanks.
Take care.
Thanks for listening today. If you would like to join me in telling your story about how you are quietly quitting your career and how you've got 1 foot out of the 9-to-5 rat race, or if you are a woman who has a story about already leaving the professional world to follow your passion and can offer inspiring advice, then please message me to get yourself booked in on an episode just for you. If you have a question for me or would like to know more information about how I can support you in one of my passion programs, please message me on Instagram, Facebook, or visit my website. You can also grab your free copy of my workbook, Your Passion Journey Starts Here, by joining my online community. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy this podcast and share it with your friends. Until next time, this is Beth Taylor at the Passionate Pioneer Podcast, signing off.